Hello, this is Grandma's Gone Gaming. I'm bringing you episode 4 of the November 2016 Minecraft Hardcore Challenge by Michael Deering. And as I've been mining for gold here, and then this came back around that way. All right then, this is where I'm at. Good, because I need to go out for now. I do want to get a little bit of light down in here, like that maybe. And I don't think I'm going to go any further that way because I need to get other things. So I'm going to block this off. There we are. I'm going to go ahead and eat another one of these. Okay, and I had been telling you about my mom's life before she married my dad, who was a builder. My mom was a violinist. And she had received awards all the way through her grade school years. After learning to play at 5, she taught herself to play. Then she took private lessons. And then in school, she got more lessons. And was very, very good at it. She was invited in later years to play with a group that was going to Europe. And she couldn't go because she couldn't leave kids behind. It's just, there was nobody to take care of the kids for a year's tour for her to just go. So she turned it down. That's just... It had to be that way. So, but she played in town. Okay, is that because it's raining, not on the mesa? Because it's supposed to be daytime here. Okay, well, I'm going to knock that down. All right. Anyway, I need to go up and get some trees. Okay, and I'll be looking for day 4 to come. So, anyway, so she didn't know a lot of stuff when she got married, but my daddy taught her helping. She helped him with his building. She learned from him how to cook. Oh boy, more stuff down there, which probably connects back to where I'm at over there in my little hidey hole, which is to my west right now. But she learned, and she learned that if she wanted to keep on playing her violin, she would have to make the time to practice, and she would have to play. So she did, and there were other musicians in town. We had guitar players. We had a wonderful, wonderful bass player. I can see more of the mine shaft over that way. The Stan. I remember his name was Stan, and I can't remember what his last name was, but he played string bass, and oh my, was he good. Oh, so he and Mom would get together, and they would jam, and then we had a piano player. No, wait, Stan was the piano player. Who was the bass player? I don't remember. Okay, Stan was the piano player. And so the three of them would play, and once in a while they would have a brass player. People would go through, still even at that day, mining, or sometimes there were fishermen, sometimes there were people that would come on the steamships that would come in with produce for us and things that we ordered from the catalog, and other freight that the stores had ordered, stuff like that, because everything we had that couldn't be grown on our own land was brought in from the lower 48, the states at the time, as I mentioned. Okay, I am going to need to make some more tools, which I haven't done, but I can do right out here. I don't think I need all this cobble right now. I'm just going to collect that, and I probably will go ahead and get back down there before too long anyway. But I want to get a few more things here. Could use some more dirt. There's an apple. That's very good. Let's get rid of some more cobblestone. I think this time I'm trying to keep the andesite, diorite, and granite. Okay. So, oops, more wood that I didn't pick up and didn't realize. Okay, so they would jam, and the only places that they had to play their instruments, didn't get the apple, was the bars. I mean, the town, there were... Okay, let me try to think. I think there were, when I was growing up, I believe there were 4 bars and 2 churches, which is probably not a really bad ratio for a pioneer town that was from a mining area. It was in a mining area and on the coast, I don't actually think we had, back then, if drugs were being done, they were not really in our area. It was alcohol, and alcohol was everywhere. And my dad was an alcoholic. And I've told you, he was a very good man. He was a good man. He was a loving, caring father, but he had a problem with alcohol. And so in that town, you know, he was also a very good worker, and he did not miss work, that kind of thing. But when he started drinking, you know, he was never like, what I'm trying to say, he was never abusive, not that kind of thing. But he just, he couldn't handle it, and he would go gamble away the money sometimes. He loved to gamble. He loved to game, and I've obviously picked that up from him. I've often wondered what it would have been like if he would have had an outlet like the computers, just to do computer gaming. Because when in later years, he loved things that were tech things, the electronic things. In later years, he became the first Xerox technician in our town, and he worked for the state of Alaska in Valdez at that point. And that was after the 1964 earthquake, which is another huge story. But he did have an alcohol problem. So sometimes he would want Mom to just go in with him. He would want to go in and have a couple beers, which always turned out to be more than a couple beers. And Mom would she would go with him. And she didn't have anybody to take care of the kids. And like very many of the other families in town, when there was a night out, the bars were it. There weren't like a lot of restaurants. Most of the bars had, they would do steaks, you know, they would have meat, they would have hamburgers, they would have anything that they could have to entice their, you know, the families would just go. I know that sounds strange, but that's just the way I grew up. So, yeah, and so Mom and her friends would play music. And I remember my dad, there was one of the bars especially that had old wood floor. And my dad would go in there on Saturday mornings, because on Saturday nights there would be a big dance. And he would use the dance floor wax. I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but it used to come in a can, and it was flakes, wax flakes. And then he would put it on the floor, and we kids would get to skate around in our socks on the floor and polish the floor up for the dancers. And he and my mom were great dancers. They would get out on the floor and dance when somebody else was playing music. So Mom would always take a little on her break, you know, while some of the other musicians would play. She and Daddy would dance and have quite an audience because they were very good. At one time, they had roller skate. They had skate danced together, as my dad took care of a roller rink in Aberdeen, South Dakota, which is 100 miles from us here. And Mom would come over there because she loved to skate, and the two of them learned to do the skate dancing to the jukebox there in Aberdeen. So it was pretty fantastic. They were so good, and I never could dance like them. I could never get my legs and my arms and my head and everything to all move. I have great rhythm. I can play instruments and I can sing. Dancing is another thing. I've always loved to do it, but I am not good like they were. Oh, I can't do anything like that now, but even when I could dance, and you know, I loved rock and roll dancing. The things that you could just kind of move around to and be free, but I just was not good at ballroom dancing. Just could not do it. Couldn't wrap my head around it, or my legs, or my hips, or anything like that. But they tried to teach us all those things. Yeah, one more here. Good. And what we did learn, we learned from them on that. And so I learned from her. Okay, which way am I going? I need to go to the east. East. Is that what I said? Or I came from the east? Uh-oh. Well, I think it's back this way, actually. Now I'm going to have to make a run for it, get there, find out where I was, find my stuff. I'm so silly. Why do I do this to myself? Didn't do any torches or anything up here. So anyway, we'll give it a run here. It's right around. I know when I see it, I got to get down here. I have put my cobblestone over the top of my door. And here comes a foe. Okay, enough of you. So yeah, as we got into school, we all were required and loved taking, oh yeah, I came across there, instruments in band. We learned how to sing. We were in choir. We did drama. I know I have stuff behind me. We did, there it is right over there. We were required to have good grades. We were not allowed to do things that we would love to have done, like being out there building our forts out in the forest around us, all that kind of stuff, until we had done both our chores and our homework, and we were required to keep at least a B average in school. That was just the way it was. And our parents did a good lot of the teaching, which is one reason that I have done homeschooling over the years, and now my daughter is homeschooling her 6 children, because if you're going to be teaching them anyway, especially when you get more children up in line, the more you have, the longer it takes to just keep up with their homework and everything. You might as well just be teaching them at home. And that way you are sure that they're learning the things that you want them to learn as well. And I should have planted some of those. I wonder, is there any dirt out here? I think maybe we can take a little foray out here and put some dirt here. At least I don't have to hoe it. We'll just plant a couple of rows of them there. Okay. So, yeah, we learned, and we learned music. We learned how to build. We learned how to read, write, and do arithmetic. And in later years in school, when we didn't have enough teachers a couple times, one other friend and I were put in charge of our band teacher. Music teacher left. Her husband got transferred down to Texas, I believe it was. And so she left. We had a band teacher that they were trying to get one guy. He was a professional musician in town later, and he didn't start as the band teacher until later in the year. And once he did, he took over and did quite a bit of stuff with our group, including our marching band. We had a pretty good marching band at that time. Let's see, this is hardened clay. What do I have up here? Hardened clay. But my one friend and I were the ones that were chosen to keep the band going. So we taught. We had been A students, and we had been to the honor bands and to the honor choir and stuff like that. And so we taught. We had beginning band students, beginning choir students, and we just did what our teacher had done in previous years and taught the other students. And it was a good experience. We learned about how to, keep kids going, and, and that was a tough job because, it's your peers. You're trying to teach your peers, which isn't always well accepted, as you may know. It's and it's extra study because you got to know what's at the end of the book. You got to know. Let's take these things, not those. You got to know what it is that you're trying to accomplish. See, I want to put my sand down here, my red sand. And so we did quite well, and actually it was quite hard then for the two of us. It was another young man and myself, and I can't remember, which one it was, but I know there were the two of us that were trying our darndest to keep things going. But we did our best and learned a lot by ourselves in the meantime. I'm going to need another one of those also. And of course, I put all of the cobblestone away. There we go. And, oh gosh, so many things that I learned over the years being there in a town with relatively small people resources. We just didn't have a lot of everything or a lot of anybody. That's just the way it was, and we went with it. We just had to go with it. So then I made myself a couple notes here. One of the things that my dad did over the years then, and we didn't have a regular theater. They had the Eagles Club there, and I don't think that they had any of the other social clubs. I can't remember what all of the ones are different ones are called right now off the top of my head, but they had the Eagles, the Fraternal Order of Eagles, and my mom was in the what do you call it, the women's part. I can't remember what you call it, but anyway, they did good works around town, and she always was involved with those things, helping other people wherever they could. And so the women would put on social events quite often. So they would do little theater things, or they would do other things that okay, I'm going to need some more tools here. Oh, wait, come back in here. Get that iron. I got more iron here. They would do Christmas programs, and they would do fall programs, stuff for the kids. There would always be, and my dad was in the Veterans of Foreign Wars because he had, as I believe I mentioned before, had been a soldier in World War II, and he learned most of what he knew about building and stuff like that while he was over there. So, and he actually went in at an early age, by the way. I believe he was only barely 16 when he probably forged an ID, which was fairly easy to do back then, I think. At any rate, he went in to the Army on false ID and went all the way through World War II that way. And I think later his records were updated. I do have, actually my sister has all of his military records. But yeah, it was, he learned so much then. So anyway, he wanted to help out with doing different things in town that my mom had invested her time in, and a lot of the couples would do stuff together that they could. And he, of course, was in the Eagles part, and she was in the women's order. So, come on. There we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4 more of those. Okay. So under our school, we had a big old brick schoolhouse, the elementary school, that had underneath it some classrooms and a bowling alley at one end. Now, bowling is another thing that both of my parents did when they were growing up for some of the free time that they had. One of the things that my mom did learn, she learned how to skate and bowl, which didn't help her, of course, keeping house and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so after that flood that came and wiped out most of our house out in the at 2 Mile. Okay, I think I'm ready with stuff now. Can't do any more fishing tonight. We'll put that up there. And we're already at day 4. Okay, so, well, that's the end of that story, and I'll tell you about the bowling alley later on. And I'm going to have to get up there and get much more now of the colors. I'm pretty well supplied with other stuff now, including basics of food, at least. I don't think I'm going to farm. I'm just going to fish. So that's what we'll do. But I'll tell you what Daddy did with the bowling alley after that. So many stories that I could tell, and I would try to condense it all into these few times. So, and it leads to what I'm going to build too. So, so anyway, I'll see you in episode 5. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.